Welcome to INDI CORPS. Due to the unfortunate growing popularity of the TLDR mindset, we have decided to make our rather lengthy white paper a video. We hope this will facilitate the ease of comprehension and further expedite adoption of INDI CORPS' many tools. There exists a great many liberating projects on the internet that are sparsely known and rarely brought into public light because they threaten the present centralized corporate domination. The intention of the INDI CORPS software bundle is to bring together these many powerful projects into one efficient, compact package easy to be used by even the non-tech masses, so as to exponentially empower users and their communities with financial liberty, data security, and unsurpassed privacy around the world. These projects are all standalone, but when combined together, they become a formidable force of liberation. As more users experience this power, they will bring greater attention to the merit of these noble projects and thereby accelerate the mass adoption of Web3 technologies, spelling the end to centralized corporate bias and control. Our loftiest vision is to render the governments and central banks of the world obsolete by allowing the people each to become their own government, bank, and business. The days of middlemen have passed. Section 1. The following is a brief overview of the entire package, its parts, and their use. It is not a full installation video. This software bundle can be easily installed on basically any average computer. However, if you intend on running larger projects, such as a commercial business, then your computer will need to be equal to the task. Ideally, it should be a server or multiple servers. Now, we all know servers can be expensive, but for those on a budget, you can often find refurbished servers, some under $500. So let's get started. Okay, we will start with the INDI CORPS bundle downloaded to our desktop. Click on the INDI icon to open the bundle. The main selection panel will open. The way this looks is just a skin, able to be customized by the user. All of the config buttons, except for the first, are grayed out when first opening this app because they must be configured in order. As such, we will start with Control Panel 1, the INDI GSS. INDI GSS stands for the INDI Global Super Server, because everyone who installs it becomes a miniature server, and the sum total of all of these nodes equals the super server. So, what does INDI mean? Well, INDI means a lot of things: independent, individual, or an acronym for Independent Network of DApp Integration. Or whatever else you want it to mean, it is indeed indicative of the spirit of individual independence. Now we will click on the Config button. This first installs a virtual machine application onto your computer that is compatible with your specific OS. Next, it opens Control Panel number 1. Now this is also just a skin, to be customized by the user. Furthermore, this flashy setup is still under development. What it looks like now is more like this. Kinda boring, right? This control panel is what configures your node. These sliders are the amount of your main computer's resources that you wish to dedicate to the INDI CORPS network. The procedure is the same for all of them, so we will only examine GPU in detail. Let's get a close-up. First, you would set the top main slider. This is the total GPU that you give to the network and take from your computer. It is recommended that you take no more than 90%, and even less if you are running desktop apps simultaneously, such as a graphic design app which needs many resources, else you risk crashing your computer. Second, you set the slider below it. This divides the above allocated main amount between yourself and others. By self, we mean all resources that you want to be used upon your own stuff on the INDI CORPS network, such as your own video page. By others, we mean all resources that your own stuff does not need, so you can then sell these resources to the network at the price you want for them. Notice the position the slider is in now. This position is neutral. Notice also how the green area is labeled Keep and has a 0 to 100 range, with a secondary fixed size marker. Therefore, it is clear that all allocated GPU is being used for self. Now, if that was not enough, the slider would be moved up into the buy area. Note, moving the slider up does not move the secondary marker. The amount this can be raised is proportionate to the amount of INDI you have staked in the credit union. This is INDI Corps' token staking pool, explained later in Section 3. Therefore, if you have a large website that you want to run, but do not want to buy a server, you can purchase computing power directly from the network instead. Conversely, if you have excess resources, you would move the slider downward to the sell area. Moving the slider downward moves the secondary marker simultaneously, because the amount you do not keep is exactly the same amount you sell. The degree to which you move into the buy or sell zones will be reflected in the total area. Now notice the small plus and minus signs on the top and bottom of the slider. Buy will mark your total with a minus sign because it is a debit to your account. Sell marks your total with a plus sign because it is a credit to your account. Lastly, you will set the price that you want. Obviously, there will be a market price, but you do not have to sell at that. In times of demand, you could raise your price. Conversely, if you really need funds, you could sell at a discount. The sections of this control panel are powered by the Golem, SIA, and Mysterium protocols, and therefore will be priced in Golem, SIA, and Mysterium coins and units. Exchange of these coins with INDI tokens is also explained in Section 3. The final slider, Power, is for use in Phase 2 of our project, where people with grid-tied homes will be able to swap their excess power generation with people in their own locality. Okay, so now that all of your sliders are set, you can continue with the installation. By clicking the Save Settings button, the INDI Corps package will now install its entire payload onto this virtual machine as opposed to your private computer directly. This adds an extra level of security to your personal computer. This package includes numerous open source applications, but mainly Ubuntu, Webmin, RemoteBox, Docker, Portainer, Nginx, and many more. By mentioning this, the advanced users will have a good idea of what is happening and may wish to change it, so for them, they could choose Advanced Installation. However, the primary goal of this package is simplicity for the non-tech user. Throughout the installation, there will be multiple fields for you to fill out, but those details will be explained in the installation video. The installer will alert you when it has finished and return you to the main selection panel. Congratulations! You now have a miniature virtual server upon your computer. Notice that Control Panel 2 is no longer gray, allowing us now to configure the next section. Section 2. Control Panel number 2 is called the Social Razor. Why the Social Razor? Well, you don't need a razor to cut through BS, but you do need it to cut through red tape and censorship. Perhaps it will be the razor that cuts the throat of big data. Perhaps it is a play on the word raise, as in to burn corrupt systems to the ground. But most likely it is a play on the word raise, as in to raise up. Thus, the social razor intends to raise the power of the people to such a degree that it renders the corrupt clandestine establishments of the world obsolete and powerless once and for all. So let's get started. Next, we will click on the second Config button. This opens the Social Razor selection panel. In this window, we have three options: INDI SS, UPI, and Return. The SS stands for Self-Server, and the UPI stands for Universal Profile Interface. The primary purpose of both of these is to give you total control of all of your own data. Hosting all of your own content upon your own machine protects your data from being harvested and utilized by strangers. Furthermore, having your personal profile hosted upon your own machine as opposed to making a new profile for every website ends the spreading of your personal data to countless additional strangers. As this practice grows, it will rob big data of their entire business and hasten their demise. First, we will click on the INDI SS. This opens the Webmin control panel. It is here you will manage your personal server. As you can see, it is rather extensive. Clearly, we do not have time to address all of this. As such, there is an entire video dedicated to it. Our intent here is just to give a brief overview. Notice that there is a panel dedicated strictly to the virtual server. Here you can fine-tune and customize your system, monitor its performance, and much more. This will be the server upon which you will host your own websites, and this will be the control panel where you will manage all of your website files. Remember, in a self-hosting setup like this, you are simultaneously the host and the client. This will be your admin and user accounts respectively. When finished configuring, simply close the window and return to the Razor panel. Next, click UPI. This will take you to a Friendica interface. Here you can fill out your user profile and upload your personal media. This package basically has all of the functions of all popular social media networks and is highly customizable. This profile that you create is stored only upon your node and will be shared in only the ways you authorize. It will be used across the entire INDI Core ecosystem, as well as any private application that chooses to support it. As any social network profile, you can make it as detailed as you wish. Further included are links to many other networks and an embedded copy of Mastodon and PeerTube. Mastodon is your own personal Twitter clone over which you have total control, and users claim it is far better in numerous ways. PeerTube is a self-hosted video platform with features rivaling the major platforms. With it, you can upload, share, and stream your own video content, just like you would with any of the popular video platforms, except that the content remains upon your own machine. Once you have finished setting up your profile, save your settings and close the window to return to the Razor panel. Then hit Return to return to the main selection panel. Section 3. Now Control Panel 3 is active, so let's click on that. This will take us to the FinCom panel. FinCom is a combination of the words finance and commercial. This will set up a secure area of your server and allow you to host your own store, fully equipped with the buying and selling of goods and services for strictly crypto. It will also allow you to manage your crypto finances in a superior way. The coupling of crypto to real-world goods and services is paramount for mass adoption of cryptocurrencies to take effect. INDI Core shall attempt to be one of the largest catalysts to that end. Let's first click on Commerce. This takes us to the Open Bazaar interface. This is where you can build your own self-hosted e-commerce store with as much functionality as any of the major e-commerce sites. It is just as extensive, from logging transactions to various shipping alternatives, and so much more that we will unfortunately have to dive into the many details in yet another video. Let's close the window to return to the selection panel. Now let's click on Finance. This will take us to the Finance control panel. Here is where you will manage your crypto and wallets. From one convenient place, you will be able to buy, sell, trade, transfer, and store your crypto. Let's first click on the Atomic DEX. This will take us to Komodo's Atomic DEX interface. First, you will create your own Atomic wallet. Note, since INDI Core Network does not deal in fiat currency, you will have to buy crypto elsewhere if you only have fiat, and then send the crypto to your Atomic wallet. After you have loaded your wallet, you can then go onto the Atomic DEX and start trading right from your wallet. No more moving funds onto a centralized exchange that you do not control. What is even better is that you can create your own custom trading pairs and even port in rare custom coins from other projects and do peer-to-peer swaps. When finished, close the window to return to the Finance panel. Next, we see UStake and UWallet. The U stands for Utility. This is where the utilities that you have allocated and or requested in the beginning of this video come and go from. Let's look at the diagram on how this works. If you are selling your computing resources to the network, your payment tokens appear in this wallet. On the other hand, if you need resources, you would normally have to buy each of the multiple utility tokens to fill your wallet to your specific needs. However, a more convenient way to do this is to simply stake INDI tokens. First, you would swap any tokens for INDI tokens. Next, you would stake the INDI tokens to the INDI utility pool. These INDI tokens are then exchanged on demand from the network according to your settings on the INDI GSS slider panel from section 1 of this video, and then sent to your utility wallet to be burned. No more spending time making multiple manual swaps. Let the INDI bot do it for you. Okay, let's close this window and move on to one of the most novel and important features of FinCom, the X stake. This is a unique way to make your crypto totally anonymous and untraceable. Let's bring up a diagram. Contrary to popular belief, blockchain is not remotely private and is easily traced. No blockchain coin will ever avoid that problem by the very nature of blockchain architecture. Even the supposed mixing pools are traceable. The key is to not use blockchain in the first place. However, since so many have already done that, the INDI Core network offers a solution for you. The X stake transforms your coin into a completely different protocol. By swapping your coins to INDI tokens and then staking them in INDI's missing link pool, you will be given an equal amount of INDI in the form of DAG vouchers. DAG, D-A-G, stands for Directed Acyclic Graph and is not a blockchain. Therefore, you have pulled your value completely off of the blockchain ledger and onto a totally different type of protocol. All that the world sees is that you last deposited your INDI tokens into the INDI pool, which is an autonomous decentralized wallet controlled by no one. Now, with your value safely upon a new network, you can transact peer-to-peer anonymously with military-grade encryption through a decentralized chatbot acting as the middleman. The payment recipient, or yourself if you have remaining vouchers, can then redeem the vouchers at the missing link pool for the corresponding amount of INDI tokens. This is where the V wallet comes into play. V stands for Virgin, as it is brand new, or perhaps it stands for Victory, because if you have used your head, you now have totally anonymized your crypto into a brand new wallet. You need to understand the importance of this. What you have just witnessed is a people's money system backed by an energy reserve. The minted DAG vouchers are backed by INDI tokens, which represent energy upon a network. It is like a gold standard IOU note that is only minted when gold is present. This makes the vouchers more real and valuable than any fiat currency, and the control of them is directly in the hands of the people, not in the hands of some clandestine central bank. Also contrary to popular belief, the fiat system is a digital system. Less than 3% of it exists as physical cash. All of these digital units are controlled by a private money monopoly called the Federal Reserve Central Bank, and they are backed by nothing but debt. Debt of suspect entities who can default at any time. Thus, it is utterly worthless. The INDI coin in its youth is more valuable than fiat, and as its network grows, and as the type of energy that it represents grows, it will only increase in value. We will go deeper into this disruptive mechanism in detail in another video, for we must move on as we still have much more to cover. So let's close this window and return to the finance panel. Under vWallets, you will see Add Miner. This enables those who wish to mine cryptocurrencies to install multiple miners of their choice and be able to monitor them all from one convenient place. Mining through the INDI Core network benefits the entire community, for the miner has to purchase computing resources from the network. Therefore, the community profits from his mining operation. Furthermore, to mine in this way, one has to have downloaded the INDI Core package and is then introduced to all of its various tools. Most will likely find them useful and tell others, thus helping the network grow substantially. Every newcomer will quickly see that INDI Core is an all-encompassing ecosystem, true to the cypherpunk philosophy of returning unbridled power to the people. Lastly, the INDI Core token is not mineable. So by allowing mining of, say, Ravencoin, and supporting a direct trading pair of INDI token with Ravencoin, It is an indirect way to mine INDI tokens. The last section you see is fundraisers. This section will integrate into the MintMe network and other similar projects in INDI Corps Phase 2. These projects will allow users to solicit for crowdsource funding in various ways for whatever need they may have. We will address this in more detail as Phase 2 approaches, but for now, you can visit the links in the description of this video. This ends the FinCom section, so let's click Return and go back to the main selection panel. Section 4. Now the config of the final control panel is illuminated, so we will click on that. This takes us to the INDI Core control panel. It is called INDI Core because it is the core of the network. It is the mechanism that ties it all together. INDI Core is a dynamic search engine and network explorer. Not only does it act as a browser for the INDI Core network, but it can explore multiple networks, from the common mainstream internet to the Tor, I2P, Freenet networks, and many more. First, click on Core. This will take us to a control panel built by Yasi. Are you tired of mainstream search engines biasing, bottlenecking, and censoring your searches? Well, thanks to the team at Yasi, you now have your very own advanced search engine to customize and tailor to your own specific needs. As with the other projects that we have showcased so far, the power this tool gives you is extensive, so we will only have time to skim through this one as well. The default layout looks like this, but it can be customized however you like from the admin panel. You can also customize how your engine will rank your personal search results, creating a truly organic search. But the most important customization is the ability to customize your very own web crawls, from basic to highly advanced, from your own personal web pages to the entire internet. Each crawl is able to be meticulously monitored and mapped. These results can then be shared with the entire network, exponentially increasing the size of the INDI Core collective engine. It truly is a search engine for and by the people. As you can see, this doesn't scratch the surface, but we must move on. Let's close this window to return to the INDI Core selection panel. Now, click on Meta. This will take us to a control panel built by Cyrex. We will not be exploring all of these sections now. We will focus on just the Engines section to keep this brief. Under the Engines section, notice that you can install any search engine that you know of. All of these are search engines, and you can turn them on or off. And you can build your own search engines and install them here as well. Every engine is installed under any of these specific categories. For example, all of these engines would be searching your general search. And under the file search, you see there can be a completely different set of engines. Likewise, under images, different engines yet again. Same for IT, and so on throughout all of the categories. The categories themselves can also be customized. You can even add your own categories to the list. So the level of customization is rather substantial. Now, into these categories is where you will install your finished INDI Core search engine. It will be installed here just like all of the other engines, but it will be your own personalized engine named whatever you choose. You can install it in any of these categories, or all of them if you wish. This makes for an incredibly versatile search. And here is what the Cyrex main page will look like. It is a clean, minimalist page. But you do not have to use this page. You can customize your own. Or you can use the Yasi start page and not even use Cyrex at all. But until the INDI Core network grows, and thus the INDI Core engine grows, it will be best coupled with this meta search, and that is one of the largest reasons why it is included in this package. To finish, we will close this window to return to the INDI Core selection panel. Last in this section is ISONet. ISONet stands for Isolated Network. Let's click the config to open this final tab. ISONET is a slightly more advanced feature requiring the installation of network-specific software. Its purpose is to allow you to open a network-specific browser directly to the search engine of your choice upon that network with just the click of a button. For example, clicking Tor would open a Tor browser directly to the Torch search page or any other Tor engine you know of. Consolidating these various independent network protocols into one easy-to-use panel will promote wider awareness, use, and adoption of these peer-to-peer networks, familiarizing the masses to the plethora of alternatives they have for their communication. Tying all this together through the INDI Core control panel will greatly increase awareness of the INDI Core project and its tools, and ultimately the use of its hub as a dynamic network of networks which truly empower the people. Now let us click Return to go back to the INDI Core selection panel. And now that all of these are configured, you will choose one for your default. When finished, hit Return to go back to the main selection panel. You will now see that Launch is finally illuminated. Before continuing, it is helpful to understand that all of the configurations that you have performed on the previous panels from the beginning of this video up until now all end up on what we call the faceplate of your node. It is basically like an extra large robots.txt file, unique to each node's custom settings and shared data. The sum total of these faceplate files is the INDI Core collective index file, which could be likewise described as the faceplate of the entire network. This is the file that the INDI Core engine searches first when doing INDI Core network-specific searches. This is how the network knows if you have computing resources to offer or if you are in need, and what services your node offers or desires, and much more. It also allows you to even blacklist and whitelist sites from your searches and bar access to your server to certain IPs. These results are shared with the community to give general ratings of websites and nodes. While you are free to list your node as anonymous, another may choose to block all anonymous nodes. Everyone will be free to interact with whom they please in a federated spirit. Let's continue. Pressing Launch will open a browser to your default search page, and now you can begin exploring all the new networks, interact with their content, and direct them to your content. Little different from the internet that you are used to, except all of these users self-host their own material. Welcome to INDI Core. But wait, there is another very important point. So now that we have reclaimed control of all of our own data, we still lack significant control of the network. By network in this sense, we are speaking of the actual infrastructure itself, the cables and switches that span the globe. This is predominantly owned by private companies and governments who have been known to block all traffic from an entire country. Therefore, the main goal of INDI Core encouraging wireless use is to decentralize the very infrastructure itself by making every computer a micro-independent internet provider. This is a lengthy topic, so please see the link in the description for a detailed video on how this is being done. We hope this has clearly outlined the INDI Core platform for you and created a desire to get involved. Please visit the forum to find out when the beta package will be available to the public, and if you are an interested developer, contact us through the webpage. And if you just want to support the project, simply purchase a token. Thank you for your interest in the INDI Core network. This ends the INDI Core white paper.